Alright, what's up guys? So what we're going to go over today is some advantages and disadvantages of officer life. Sort of going to state them kind of matter-of-factly. You can go through it however way you want. But Nick Olson is the guy who requested this, so tell him thank you. He specifically wants to talk about quality of life, compensation, how bureaucratic things are. Basically, office politics is what I'm thinking he's going for, and the degree of job satisfaction, as well as how set up you are for life after the military if you take the officer route. So we'll go through all that, but before we do, please hit the subscribe button and or like the video. Over 90% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, and they watch more than one, so you're gonna come back anyways. Might as well just hit the button. Alright, so diving into quality of life. Again, everything that you do is going to vary a lot by your duty station and your billet. But in a nutshell, when you're working in the Marine Corps as an officer, your work is your life. Your schedule might not be the most consistent. It's going to require you to do some travel. You're going to go places, extended periods of time, you're going to be gone. And today's weekend. Tomorrow, I don't know what time I'm gonna get off work. So might be working on the weekends, you might be working on holidays, you might just be basically living at work, but your work is going to be your life. So if you enjoy it and you're having a lot of fun, then you're gonna have a really high quality of life. If you just feel kind of stuck there, it is what it is, and you'll make it to the end, don't worry. Now, compensation, it's your pay. It's always consistent. You can go on DFAS, and that will show you your base pay, as well as the basic allowance for sustenance. That changes year to year. Typically, there's a slight increase each year. You might not really notice it at first, but the longer you stay in, the more you'll notice because it's a percentage, and your pay is based on years of service as well as your current rank or pay grade. Now, cost of living allowance and your BAH rates, those you can find on DMO's website or the Defense Travel Management Office. So if you live somewhere that's especially OCONUS, your cost of living allowance is what you get in order to live comfortably. They do a survey, I think it's every 3 years or so, and they take that survey, they look at the cost of basic goods, they pick like 100 things, so it could be eggs, milk, whatever you want to call it, and see how much that costs in the area versus the national average, and they will give you additional money in order to live a comfortable life. Now, BAH, your basic allowance for housing, is what you get in order to pay a mortgage or rent. It's based on whether or not you're single. So if you're married, your spouse is automatically dependent. If you have a child that is yours and you're not married, they're dependent. Basically, if you have dependents, you're going to get more BAH or a bigger place to live. You can use that for rent, mortgage, anything like that. The new retirement system is in place. So the pension's there at the end of 20 plus years if you make it that far. But if you don't know if you're going to stay in for 20 plus years or not, the new retirement also has a matching option for the thrift savings plan. So they automatically put in the equivalent of 1% of your base pay each month, and then if you put in 5% of your base pay, they will match another 4%, which gives you 5% matching. A little bit weird with math. You can see plenty of videos about that, and or just read the DFAS website. It'll make a lot of sense then. And also, technically, you're entitled to 2.5 days of paid leave a month. Now, since I got here in 2018, around May, I've only used 10 days. And if you go over 60 for 2 years, so 2 years worth of leave, you go over 60 days of leave, at the end of the fiscal year, they're going to force you to sell it. Now, right now, there's exceptions to that due to COVID, and you're able to keep above 60 days of leave. So I decided to take a pause here. You can see I'm using Bing. You can use Google. Just Google the DFAS pay scale and look at the pay rates. And here's your basic pay. 01 is the lowest officer. You can see 2 or less years of service. It has everyone's pay on there for their base pay. So all the way up to the end of service there. That's how much they're getting a month. Now, if you go officer, you are going to come in as a 01, and that is going to be your base pay. So regardless of where you go, that'll be your base pay. Now, looking at your BAS, you're going to be on the same kind of website right there. Bam. So you can see officers actually make less in BAS than enlisted, and if an enlisted Marine is in a barracks that doesn't have any way to store food, they make even more. Now your BAH, you literally just Google it, go on DMO's website. I got a calculator link there, but just give it a click. There it is. Click on the calculator. Now let's say you get stationed in Hawaii. You're just going to go to 01. There's your zip code. Bam, Hawaii, right there. Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. So, without dependents, single lieutenant, that's what they're going to be getting. Next thing we got here, cost of living allowance. So, you can see your overseas COLA calculator comes up. Go here, the year, the current pay period, or the most recent pay period, I should say. Hit that drop down. Let's go with Oahu because that's where Marine Corps Base Hawaii is. So we'll go all the way down. There it is. Go to the pay grade. And of course, no dependents, less than 2 years of service. Alright, a whole bunch of math going on here. You look at the bottom, that's how much they're going to get for the pay period. So you're going to double that per month. Once you double that per month, you can see lieutenant here is going to get $373 and some change just for cost of living allowance. Add in your BAH, and it won't let me paste it, so just gotta move this around and type it out. Alright, so see, back to there. Now you can add in your basic allowance for sustenance or your food money. Add that in for the month. And last but not least, we're going to add in that base pay. So if you're a single lieutenant who got stationed out here in Hawaii by me, that's how much you get every month, right there. $6,572.12, or $3,286.06 paycheck before taxes, TSP contribution, anything like that. So, making a decent living. Bureaucracy. So, if you're talking about complicated administrative procedures, everyone's job has them. You're going to find yourself looking at a process, you're going to think it's simple. People outside of your MOS community or outside of your billet even are going to think it's completely insane, and there's 1,000 small steps. To you, it's going to be broken down pretty easy. Other people who don't deal with it every day are going to think that it's crazy. So when you're talking about like the bureaucratic trying to push a piece of paper through administrative section to get it signed, or you're talking about how to input something to a specific website in order to reflect training status, anything really, how to add a dependent, that kind of thing, it's gonna drive you a little bit nuts on the administrative end. Now, the other part of the bureaucracy, you really get a lot of decisions made by people in positions of power, and they really go sort of two directions with it, and a lot of people are in between. But there's some people that say, this is what I want to happen, make it happen, and they sort of give you all the freedom in the world to accomplish what they want. And then there's the other people that tell you, you will do this way, just shut up and do it. or shut up and color is basically what it's like. So, other than that, job satisfaction, this is going to vary greatly based on not so much your MOS, but your duty station and your billet. So your ability to actually make an impact on the local community or any type of community overseas, anything like that, is going to vary completely based on what you're doing and where you're at. So the whole making a difference at your job, it'll wear off over time. When you initially join, you're going to feel like you're making a difference in everything you do. Over time, it'll start to sort of erode away a little bit, and you start to see how much money is actually spent by the DoD on things versus if you just went down the street and bought it at a store yourself, it would be cheaper. So you see people's tax dollars sort of, I wouldn't say going frivolously towards things, but the money is going. It's going places and it's doing things, and you start to wonder if there's a cheaper or more effective way than using DoD contracts. And then you also see time go by. So you see a lot of people, especially down at the lower ends of the chain of command, have a lot of downtime. They don't always know what the next step is. They don't know what's coming next, and not all of them can really anticipate it. You're going to have a lot of these kids that are 18 that came out of high school and it's their first actual job. They might have never done anything before. So when they are trying to get the job done, you're going to see a lot of pauses, a lot of people sort of standing there wondering, hey, what do I do next? That needs step-by-step directions. I'd say most work that I've done in the last 10 years is meaningful, but I wouldn't say it was all worthwhile. So everything I've done really means something, even if it's just a small community or a small group of people somewhere. But some of the things you do will be very irrational, just driven by a sole person in a powerful position that'll make you do things that will just have you question some stuff. But at the end of the day, might makes right, and you'll see just crazy stuff happening. Like example, back when I was a PFC, I was told that I was going to cut grass across this entire field. It was about 5 acres, landing zone for helicopters and such. And they just dropped me off there with a 5-gallon jug of gas and a weed whacker, a weed eater. No lawnmower, no other sort of specialized equipment. And so I literally spent probably about 12 to 13 hours that day just constantly cutting grass with this thing and refueling it, and then having to actually go get more gas because 5 gallons wasn't enough. Is there more efficient ways of doing things? Yes, but when you got what you got and the person in charge says get it done and drops you off there, that's pretty much what you do. So how well are you set up for life after the military? Well, as far as like transferable job skills, this can vary a lot, especially by MOS community. It's also why you'll see a lot of MOSs that people kind of just sort of scatter when they stay in the Marine Corps for long enough. So you'll see there's not a lot of people that stay in that have very applicable jobs to the outside because they can make the same amount of money or more with a more predictable 9 to 5 schedule and not have to deal with as much of the bureaucracy or not having to just completely get along with the person in charge, but being able to take their business elsewhere. So across the board, the things that you're really set up with are the ability to deal with any kind of bad situation. Something crazy happens in front of you, everyone else is going to kind of shut down, go internal panic. You don't really know how other people are going to react. Some people step up, but the majority just sort of watch a bad situation unfold. You'll definitely have the ability and you'll probably respond to something bad happening. Whether that's a car accident or someone trying to rob a place, you're going to be the guy that actually steps up and does something. You get a very clear decision-making process in your head. It really gets hammered into you. So you're able to make split-second decisions and sort of stick with them and know when to bail on your decision and know when to just keep sticking with it and it's going to get better. It really helps you with creative problem solving and finding new approaches to either old situations or new situations. So I hope that this answered what you're looking for as far as quality of life, compensation, and the bureaucracy, job satisfaction, as well as life after the military setup from officer perspective. Other than that, I'm going to do some cool editing to this. So right now I'm just filming this. I'm gonna end up cutting it a little bit, and then in there I will actually put up the websites that show you pay, so you can see coming into the military as a brand new second lieutenant, if you went through OCS, how much money you'd be making, and really how it would vary based on where you go for cost of living allowance and basic allowance for housing and all that other good stuff. So uh, that's going to take a little bit, but to you it's going to seem like it's all flawless and done instantly. So have a great day out there, and I'll see you around.